First we start and when you introduce this person, true or false,
ನಿನ್ನ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನೀನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ವಾ? You have to tell them where they have to sit or
moderators, I'll tell.
ಮುಂದೆ ಮೈಕ್ 6 ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೈಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಇದ್ದು 6 ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಯಾವಾಗ 6 ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 6 ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, 6 ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಸರಿ ಏನೋ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ 6 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಆ ಮೈಕಿನ 6 ಬೇಕಂತ. ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ 6 ಅದು? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಟೇಕ್
ಇದಿಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ 6 ಇದೆ.
ಹಾಂ ನೋಡಿ.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. It gives us great pleasure to welcome you all to the panel discussion on education, technology, and digital learning. Education today is undergoing a profound transformation with technology reshaping the way we learn, teach, and connect. From digital classroom to AI-powered learning tools, the future of education is increasingly being defined by innovation. To delve deeper into these opportunities and challenges, we are honored to have with us a distinguished panel of experts who will share their insights and perspective. Today, we have with us Mr. Vinay Parameshwarappa, founder of Gully Tours and seasoned leadership coach. Sir has transformed the way people experience culture, learning by experiential travel in India. Gully Tours has hosted over 30,000 guests from more than 80 countries with features on Netflix, National Geography. Beyond tourism, Sir is passionate about leadership development and works closely with corporate leaders and startups to build clarity, resilience, and purpose. A true explorer at heart, he seamlessly blends storytelling, travel, leadership to create transformative learning journey. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, sir. We welcome you. Our next panelist is Mr. Nandakirti sir, who's joined us online. Sir is a founder and CEO of Class 365, Higher 365, co-founder of Accelerator, a platform dedicated to learning, upskilling, and leadership development. With years of entrepreneurship experience, Sir has been at the forefront of designing innovation programs that empower individual and organization to adapt to the digital era. Sir's vision is to bridge the gap between traditional learning and modern workplace, making education more practical, future-ready, and technology-driven. By mentoring and building scalable solutions, he has enabled both students and professionals to thrive in an ever-changing environment. We welcome you, sir. Our next panelist is Mr. Vijay Krishnamurthy, Executive Coach, PCC. Our founder and director, Sports Village School, one of the India's largest and most impactful school sports initiative with over 20 years of experience. Sir has refined the role of sports and physical education in mainstreaming learning. Through his leadership, Sports Village has integrated digital learning, reaching thousands of schools across the country and promoting holistic student development. Sir's work shows that true education extends beyond academics, nurturing teamwork, resilience, and life skills essential for future workforce. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. We welcome you. Our next panelist is Mr. Ravi Shankar, CEO and co-founder of Aim High Consulting, one of the India's leading PR and brand consulting firm. With more than 25 years of experience, Sir has worked with some of India's most iconic startups including Flipkart, Ola, Swiggy, Byju's, helping them build brand that resonates across the globe. He is also an author, speaker, and an angel investor with more than 100 investment in startups. His contribution to the entrepreneur's ecosystem has been recognized nationally, where he has served as juries and advisory board for startup initiative. Sir combines strategic thinking, storytelling, and mentorship to guide organizations in navigating disruptions, values that are deeply relevant to the future of education and digital learning. Sir, we welcome you. To guide this thought-provoking discussion, we are honored to have Mr. Harsha Srinivas as the moderator for today's session. An accomplished technologist and an entrepreneur, Sir heads IoT at Vigyan Labs and director of AIMLware, a startup India recognized venture focusing on sustainability edge AI solution. With a master's in computer network from Manipal University and an rich experience at Dell, Implantadia Technology, and Vivid Motors, Sir brings deep expertise in AI, IoT, cloud, and electric vehicle. A passionate mentor and educator, Sir also inspires young graduates through his workshop and entrepreneurship skills. We are delighted to have you with us for the panel today, Sir. We welcome you.
ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾತು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅವರೇನೋ ಹಾಯ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತೆ. You like to say hi to everybody, sir?
So we also have Nanda Kirti sir who's joined us online. We welcome you, sir. Sir, I think you're on mute.
Hello.
So you can say hi.
Hi Nandan, can you hear us? I think ours is on mute. We can't hear you, Nandan.
We are on mute now. It's not there.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
We welcome you to the session, sir.
Yeah, I think we can get started, right?
You can get
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, thanks for being here, right? So, it's a very interesting topic that we have today on technology, education technology and the future of learning.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Right. So, this is an area that has multiple views, multiple transformations that's been happening over the last couple of decades. And with AI coming in, it's in a really fast pace, right? What used to move like your typical Maruti cars is now going at the speed of a Ferrari, right? And happy to have this amazing panelists here who are going to give us their whole views on this domain, right? So I want to start with you, Vijay, right? On your perspective, being a coach, a leadership coach, how do you think technology is helping leaders in their growth and personal skills?
Firstly, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to JSS management for inviting me here, especially Raghav. So to answer your question, I think there's almost nothing that's without the use of tech now. and so obviously even in leadership coaching and things like that. One specific thing in the past 12 months that I have been observing is, the new definition of hybrid. Hybrid used to be online and offline. I think now hybrid is AI plus human, right? And I see it every day. We have tools that we use at our firm to get used to. But I see, pros and cons. The understanding of the context and the specific use case of why you need it. For example, in coaching, if someone in the middle management is there to upskill on a specific thing, let's say delegation or strategy or career advancement, there's only so much you can do with what the learning modules and how you assess and things like that can be done async, which we call, if it is not the human, through AI. But you still need someone as a human connect to sort of put things together and then move it in a very coherent way. So I still think it is both functions, and I'm an old timer, so I don't see AI as something that completely disrupts and changes and people lose jobs, anything like that. People had the same fear when things got computerized years ago in mid-90s, and people thought something will happen and all that. But it's more about what you use it effectively for towards a particular outcome. So that's my quick thought.
Yeah, thanks for the perspective, right? That's very true. You use technology as an enabler, not a replacer, right? So now with Ravi sir, right? Like you've been mentoring startups, working with them also both as an investor and as well as part of your MHI institution, right? How do you think the whole academia AI education technology is influencing the kind of students that come out, the startups that are happening, right? Are they improving the quality of startups pitches that you get, or is there a long way to go in that? It's at the back.
Can you hear? Yeah. So, whether AI is enhancing the quality of startups is your question. So, it's too early to call, is my take on that. The reason is, while AI or any technology for that matter, like which I also suggested, does help, technology and today's technology, that is AI, helps you operate at a slightly higher orbit. And I think today we should stop at that rather than according it more credit than it deserves. Is AI disruptive? Yes, it is disruptive, highly disruptive. Disruptive to the extent of letting you take some of the baser level things for granted. To that extent, it is disruptive. It's a great editor. It's a great aggregator. For example, you're familiar with the knowledge pyramid, which has information at the very bottom. Data at the very bottom, information at the next level, knowledge at the next level, and wisdom at the topmost level. Okay. What AI has done is it has made the first two layers of data and information redundant. Okay. Luckily for us, today, knowledge and wisdom are still in the human domain. Okay. So hopefully it will continue to be in the human domain until people are scaring us about AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is going to come perhaps in the next 5-10 years. That's what Google has scared us with. That is what somebody else has also scared us with, saying in the next 5-10 years there's going to be AGI where machines can think like human brains. We'll grant it to them, when that happens, but I'll still think that the last layer of wisdom, okay, the thing of discretion is still going to remain with humans. And until that happens, whether it is in the space of leadership training or in the space of startups and startups, getting to create stuff. I think it's knowledge and wisdom that lead the way and not the baser level stuff, because that's a commodity. Information today is a commodity. It's available to everybody. To that extent, democratization of that kind of information and some small parts of knowledge, AI has enabled us with, but the next level stuff still, remains in the human domain, and that is what separates the grain from the chaff, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, sir. We have to be aware of what AI is capable of doing and what it cannot do, right? It has democratized data, democratized access to data, but you cannot democratize wisdom. It is not even with all the 7 billion people, right? So reflecting on the same thing, Vinay, right? How do you see people taking this whole AI, right, in terms of leadership coaching, when you go in as an educator, as a mentor, right? I'm sure the same applies in education institutes as well. There's this whole new generation coming up saying, okay, everything's available online, everything's there. Why do I still need to follow traditional mentorship and coaching, right? So what's been your experience?
Thanks, Harsha, for the question, and great to come back to the college I studied, and thanks, Ms. Sima and Raghav, for having us back. I love the campus. We hardly spend time inside classes, but outside, right? That connects to what you are asking me, right? How does our experience with AI, right, and how does it connect to wisdom? How will it change? And I echo both what Vijay and Ravi are talking about. In the 80s, some of you might not remember, the big challenge was computers are coming, we're going to lose jobs. But that didn't happen. What did computers do? The grunt work was what was taken away, right? Now, it's the age of AI, and I see there's a lot of talk on AI. I feel most startups now want to call themselves .ai, right? You scratch the surface and trying to find out what more. Like what Ravi very beautifully said, I think when it comes to data at scale, sure, it's technology that will help you. But connecting to wisdom, there's something that we are very, very blessed with is understanding human emotions. At the crux of what we do, take any of these spaces, for example, if it's a teacher and a student, right? What will technology do? In the past, you had to go to a certain college or a university to get access to the best teachers. But today, no, the best teachers are going to teach millions of students, right? MIT's entire curriculum is online. Everybody is smart, or you have a smartphone in your pocket, right? So I don't think so the battle is on smartness anymore. I think that's already played out, right? Or like people say, oh, Google it, right? The information is there, so I don't think so the next battle is on hoarding information. At least that's how my education was. We had to retain knowledge and go and puke it out in a examination. Today it's about learning, relearning. And I think what AI technology will do is I think it will make life easier in terms of access, right? But I definitely feel a space that is very much in our control is wisdom. Working with emotions, very often when I work with leaders, we work on emotional intelligence, right? How do you make the other person feel, or how does the other person feel in your vicinity, right? And that's how teams, are they feeling motivated? Are they feeling down? Are they feeling ignited? What's the emotion? I think that's something which is very much in our domain, right?
No, that's some really valid things, right? I want to take this with Nandan, right, who's on the other side of these things, building the technology for education, right? So Nandan, I read that your platform serves thousands of students, thousands of institutions who work. And what is your take on how the technology side is progressing, and how do your customers or your consumers see this coming in? Nandan, we can't hear you.
Thanks, Harsha. First of all, I think My apologies. There's a lag of about 10 to 15 seconds. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, Nandan. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm actually watching from YouTube, so there's a lot of the questions that there. So Harsha, first of all, I really want to thank for inviting me. It's absolutely a privilege to be part of this event, and also this prestigious education institution. Thank you first of all for having me here. So just to answer your question, right, being part of a platform, so we kind of cater to about 6,000 education institutions in about 130 countries. So we always need to be in the forefront of what is out there in terms of technology. The answer which I'm going to give you, it's slightly longer, but it's very relevant because some of the panelists have a little bit of a different opinion here. But what we try to answer is based on four frameworks. So any product that we are kind of trying to build, so we are trying to answer around four things. What? What is it? So what? Why now? And what now? Right. So from a product management perspective, these are quite important for us. So when I say what, I would say we would be, somewhere under the rock if we say AI is not the what of today. AI is definitely, everyone is talking about it. I've been in Silicon Valley a couple of times last year, even twice this year as well. So that's pretty much being the talk of the town. But AI is there, so what? Over the past few decades, we've had many technologies coming, as one of the panelists also mentioned. So we have the semiconductors, we have the networks, the smartphones, all these things coming. But the way we are riding right now, which is AI and intelligent systems, is completely different, which I feel. The gap between science fiction and reality, I feel it is shrinking very fast because I'm kind of looking at other startups, there are founder circles, visiting Silicon Valley a couple of times last year. My mindset has completely changed, right? So just to come back to that framework which I mentioned, so we have the what, the so what, so why now? One of the panelists mentioned why now this technology is so relevant, and we talked about AGI going to be 2010 or something, but there is a very interesting article called 2027ai.com. That's very interesting. So when you look at this, we have multiple waves that we came through. We had in the 1960s, we had the semiconductors wave. We had companies like Intel being part of it. We had the network wave, which had Cisco being part of it. We had the systems wave, which was the Microsoft, Apple, and Oracle was part of it. And up until right now, where we have social media, we had the wave of cloud computing, digital transformation happening in the 1980s and 90s. Right now, what I feel is, all these technological waves that we have, we are the groundwork for the railroad has been built. The railroad has been built, and that track, we are not kind of putting in a steam engine here, we are putting in a bullet train, right? So with all the six decades of work which is being done in technology, the rail work has been built to ride this train, which is a bullet train, and we'll see a lot of innovation technology happening. And as our customers, look up on systems like us, being part of this wave where we are in the forefront of technology. And a lot of customers, like we have Johns Hopkins University, we have US Department of Defense, those guys are always talking about how we can build intelligent systems to support them. Harsha?
Yeah.
I hope that was clear.
Yes, thanks for that perspective, right? So I want to take this conversation a little more towards the core education, the ground reality that's happening, right? Be it in educational institutions, in companies, enterprises everywhere, right? So I want to start with you, Vinay, right? You've had a lot of adventures, I hear, in travel, diving, and multiple interesting things, right? So, what are these leadership resilience qualities that come in sports that you feel are to be brought into the future of education? Any domain for that matter.
Interesting question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Your question is the domain of sports. What is that we can learn as leaders that can also be applied in boardrooms?
Yes, the sports leader qualities, right? How can that be brought in?
I think that's a great question. A couple of things here, right? Very often you see this, right? If I look at my own class, the topper, she's a very sweet person, still is in the same company where she joined after her graduation, right? Same company. If you see how her career has grown, it's good, but it's limited, right? But you had a couple of folks in the last benches, right, who really have thrived in the real world. So what am I trying to say here, right? There are certain life skills that you pick up, right, early on in life that are very, very crucial when you work, right? And especially sports. And a great part that I see is teamwork, right? So much of our academics is about how you are performing. But it's always great teams that go and deliver. It's rarely an individual. Right? Rarely an individual, they're great teams. So when you're working with great teams, is really about understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, and what does it take to work with people? How do you manage conflict and all of it? I think sports is a great, and I'm sure Vijay can add more. So I think that's one great aspect that you can pick up from sports, working as teams. And second is also the whole aspect of resilience, because you always don't win. You win some, you lose some, and that's exactly the game that you play, be it in business, career, or in life, right? To look at failure, what do you learn, and then how do you come back to it? So a lot of resilience is what you pick up. So I would say teamwork and resilience are two aspects I find great bits to pick up in sports.
Yeah, I think that's some really important things, irrespective of domain, career, or anything that you look at, right? So Vijay, just following up on that, since you're also a lot of into sports research, right? Do you think technology that comes into sports training is actually helping with a lot of performance and personal growth for these players?
Good question. I'm just going to add to what Vinay was saying about teamwork. GE, in its job application, had a criteria for if you had played sport, then what was your role and how did you contribute to the team was an additional criteria in the job application itself. So they actually valued it to the level, because otherwise individual GPAs and scores are just only about that. So to your question, I think again, like tech has gone everywhere. It's gone into sport also. It's gone to the extent now, 18th over, second ball, this, now to me as a person, I think this joy of that actual sport thing is gone. That is one from like a consumer side, but also from an athlete. What I know, for the question that you asked, athletes are not thinking that way. They are actually looking for a simplistic solution to solve the problem. So sometimes if the people in so-called cabins, and like you see commentary boxes, another thing that I use also, the amount of information thrown, actually that's exactly not what's happening on the ground. I think the person is just thinking in live sport, for example, is thinking of a simple way to solve the problem. So unless the person is analytical. So if you think of an athlete who's like actually wanting to consume a lot of information and then make their own decisions, this data will help. But by and large, I've seen in sport and live sport and all that, this amount of information can go the reverse also, right? Because if you think about executing something live, you cannot think of so many things, right? So I'll give you a simple example is in tennis, for example, when there's so much of analytics built in, And Federer, Nadal, for I don't know students if you're tennis fans and if you know Federer, Nadal, and they used to play every single dimension of their their matchup was broken down on what they should do. But Rafa was a guy whom I know because through Infosys and they'd done some work. He was not a person who's like, don't give me all this. How do I just win this match? And what are the 2-3 things I need to do to get things done, right? And it turned out to be a couple of things. You had to hit a forehand cross-court to Federer's backhand, get him to run. That's it. So I think you got to take in that information, but I think you cannot try to do all and exploit that information live. May not work, at least for sport.
Yeah, that's really good pointers on that, right? I watch, or at least used to watch a lot of F1. So the commentary that you said, right, that the space at which it goes, there's very limited, especially thanks to Reels, we have very limited power in how much we understand out of that, because they work in like milliseconds, right? So I think all that information created and people are blaming, AI is taking away jobs. So somebody has to make sense of that data. So in my view, it's actually creating more jobs, more opportunities, right?
I just want to add one more.
Sure.
I'll just add one more from our research. It just occurred to me, just a quick 1 minute is, they found out that more information can actually harm. So in Olympics that just happened last year, Paris, South Korean archers, during the half time, the amount of emotions in play and in the final round, the coach apparently went and said, if you don't get into the top 3, and try your best to get into the top 3, because back then, after you go back to South Korea, there was some sponsorship, there was something, and then he introduced that topic in the middle of the game. 2 of those archers slipped to number 5, they didn't win after that. So the conversation, so the point is like Vinay was saying, the amount of human emotions in play and that information, so it would have been better off if they had not heard that information at all of that.
Right, the whole human factor, social engineering plays a big role, right? And that's, I feel, is what teachers and mentors also play in education, right? So Ravi sir, as a mentor, would you like to add on that, on how it is still important, right? Beyond wisdom, why it still matters. You may not spend the traditional 7 hours, 8 hours between 4 walls in a classroom, but why it still matters to have that aspect, even with AI coming in.
Yeah, so taking off from what Vijay was talking about, let's talk about, the same greats, Federer, Nadal. I'm sure, as sports aficionados, you would have watched those last 8 days, which is a documentary on Federer's last 8 days. In that, Harsha, Federer talks about, in a very emotional way, he talks about the greatest joy that he would get out of the game, and at a level where he says, sometimes from the way my opponent is hitting the ball, I can make out what he is thinking about. I can make out what state of mind he is in, and I would calibrate my game accordingly. So he would understand what his vulnerabilities are. He would understand what that guy is going through. He would understand, therefore, what is it that I need to do in order to stay. Like Vijay said, the AI or technology has made sports and games so mechanical that, just by solving a couple of pieces, you can really elevate one guy to the next level. And fortunately or otherwise, the other guy sitting on the table is also doing the same analysis on you. So it's like a game that's being played between 2 computers, and not really between 2 people. Therefore, the fizz is out of the drink. The joy is out of the game in a certain sense. The same when it comes to other aspects of education as well, because the purpose of education is to prepare you for life, isn't it? If technology or AI leaves you with a false hope that you're already prepared for it when you are actually not, then it could start working against you. AI, artificial intelligence, could end up leading to natural stupidity. Okay, isn't it? So because you're relying on not your intelligence, you're not processing it in your head, but you're relying on what is already there ready for you, starting from the papers that you submit as assignments to your PhD dissertations to the preparation that you make for your next meeting. Okay, it's the same as somebody preparing for a game, looking at ready-made material that a computer has given you through its visual analysis. Here it's maybe perhaps text-based or voice-based analysis, so you are going into life. Touching upon one thing that you said and Vinay said about jobs and what Nandan made a supposition on. How many jobs? I love saying this. Okay, there's good news and bad news. How many jobs will be lost to AI in today's times or in the next couple of years? The answer is, bear me out, all the jobs. All the jobs will be lost to AI. That's bad news. All the jobs, the way we know it today, will be lost. However, that will give rise to new jobs, okay, which will require you to take into cognizance all the, I hate the word, disruption that AI has brought in. Take that in your stride, use that as the base level thing, and then go fight your battle. Okay? Every job. And if we don't believe it, we should just think of how cab drivers used to be, 12 years ago versus how they are today. Technology has changed their life. If it can change their life, or if it can change the life of even people like construction workers, for example, because they are, doing their work to the CCTV cameras installed, and therefore that might have brought in greater integrity to, see, I'm using AI as a proxy for artificial intelligence, industrial automation, 4.0 or 5.0 or whatever, plus robotics. All these put together, I'm just using a generic term AI instead of using all these three at the same time. So all these three put together will change every job that we know of as it is today, including the jobs of all the people who are sitting here on stage thinking like, they know everything, they don't know anything. But the thing is, the good news is for those who will be prepared to use their brain in spite of getting instructions to the contrary from AI or the illusion that AI creates that you don't need to use your intelligence, okay, those who can make the distinction between, like I said, knowledge and wisdom, the popular joke, I'm sure you would have heard. What is knowledge? Knowledge is to know that tomato is a fruit and not a vegetable, because berries are fruits. What is wisdom? Wisdom is not putting it in the fruit salad. Nobody puts tomato in the fruit salad. So I'm saying to know that distinction, the ability to use description, which is the human domain, that if we are able to use, then we will perhaps not be met with the same scenario that, Vinay's classmate met with. She was good, topper in the class, okay, but in the same job, stuck in a certain trajectory. She's at least lucky to that extent, okay. But most others who will today think of education as something that will help them win bread for the rest of their life, where I will learn once and I will learn forever using that. That is not going to happen. The world belongs to those who develop the ability to learn continuously, and that is what education and educational technology needs to do. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm saying the jury is out there. Today, a lot of AI is happening around technology. Around education, sorry. A lot of AI is happening around education, but the AI that needs to get into the core of education, which is into the learning aspect of education, that I think is happening, but is still found wanting.
Yeah, that's, I see a lot of students here. That's wisdom that ChatGPT won't teach you.
Can I just quickly add to what Ravi mentioned? Sure. Because what I also see, AI is not out in the cloud. If I may ask the room, how many of you here are on Instagram? Yeah, everybody. You're watching Instagram Reels? Yeah, very cool, right? Yeah, all of us, no, including my wife's doctor is on Instagram Reels at 11 in the night. The person who does our content today is 19 and a half years old. He joined engineering in Christ College, Bangalore, quit in 3 months' time because he's very passionate about content. He'll come at 6 o'clock in the morning, he will shoot, he will edit. He's trained 6 of his flatmates to edit. He's got them new computers, he's bought himself a bike. He's been a retainer with us. He's got clients through us. He's got now clients in Goa, in Bombay, in Delhi. He travels. He still hasn't told his parents he's quit engineering. Does he use AI? Of course. How do you think he gets a subtext? How do you no, he does a lot of editing, right? That's 19-and-a-half-year-old kid. The hunger that he has is amazing, right? We worked with another guy who went to NID, one of the premier institutes with design in our country. How was my experience with him? I would ask him, hey, come for a shoot at this particular time. He would be late. And then he would say, you know what, when I only do 2 edits, not more. On the other hand, this person says, you tell me whatever changes, I'll do it. Who will I work with? Somebody who's gone to NID and has got a great degree, or a 19-and-a-half-year-old kid who doesn't have a degree but has this hunger and passion. He learns, he's got 3 YouTube channels. He tells me, when this content is not going to work, change it, try this hook. And my videos get a 500K view. It's thanks to the 19-and-a-half-year-old boy, right? So AI is not out in the cloud that Google and Facebook are doing. It's something that all of us can work with. And if that guy, his name was Atul, I love that kid, right? If he can do it, right? And he says, I still don't want to tell my parents. I want to build this a little more and then maybe I'll go and tell them, right? So that for me is now how the world is changing.
Absolutely right. It's passion, the willingness to change and adapt to things is what, like Ravi sir said, is going to continue to keep us employed and changing, right? The moment you say, this is what I started my career with, this is how I'm going to do for the next 30, 40 years till I retire, yes, you're going to lose your job. There's no other way to that, right? Yeah.
Just add one quick, Ravi triggered a thought here about learning to learn. I think education is about learning to learn, learning to unlearn. I read somewhere a joke that when we moved from horse riding to steam engine got invented, there were lots of people. Can I continue? Do you want to? Yeah, let me just continue, finish my point. So, there were lots of people who actually said, horse riding skills are required and people who don't have horse riding skills are going to suffer. And then there was another section which said that this engine is going faster. I think I don't think horse riding skills are required anymore. Horses are going to go to the zoo. So I think it's about, so what did you learn? So it is about whether it's riding the horse, then getting on, then engineering and all that. So it's about learning to learn. So I hope education, I think it's a great point Ravi made. It's not you just study now and then you earn for your life. I think it's definitely gone, right? That.
Absolutely right. And yeah, technology, how you use it and what you do in every space has been very important. Fortunately enough, even educational institutions, not only education departments and corporates, everyone has been learning the need for technology, adopting it in different paces, right? Colleges started with LMS, learning management systems, now ERPs that help grading, assessment tools, all of that. So Nandan, a question to you is, how do you see AI changing this whole thing, right? Do you still feel traditional tools like LMS are relevant, or they've been transformed, rebranded with something with more capabilities and bringing in more impact to education?
Harsha, sorry, there's quite a lot of delay.
Yeah.
That's, I think, we came up. But I just want to add to something that so I just want to add to all the things that the panelists mentioned, just on the previous question, right? So the 21st century skills, in a way, I want to introduce something that I learned probably about 18 months back, and which is kind of really opened up my mind. This is a concept called polymath. I don't know if a lot of people heard about it. Let me explain that what polymath is. A polymath is someone with deep knowledge and skills in multiple fields. Who can connect ideas in disciplines and solve problems in unique ways, right? So that's a polymath in a way. So, for example, Leonardo da Vinci was a polymath. He was an artist, an engineer, and a scientist. So was Steve Jobs in a way. So, in today's context, a polymath doesn't mean that they're mastering everything. It means that they have the range, which is something, the panelists mentioned, Ravi sir mentioned as well. So AI is excellent in single domain depth as of right now. I'm not sure, when AGI comes and how it happens, but AI is excellent in single domain depth. Solving maths problems, writing code, generating essays, that's fantastic. But when it struggles with cross-domain synthesis, seeing how math connects with music or biology connects with economics, right? Now, the world's problems, like when you talk about climate change, healthcare, education, are not single domain in a way. They require multi-domain thinking. And that's where the concept of polymath becomes very important. And that's why the students need to be, I feel, a polymath. More than anything else, jobs are evolving faster, as Ravi sir said right now, so that none of us might have a job. And Asha, you also mentioned, if we're doing the same thing, we might not end up having a job. So the jobs are evolving faster than ever. Like if you have a polymathic mindset, this equips students to pivot. The word pivot is very important here. So the students can pivot, they can adapt, and they can thrive across careers, right? So that's very important from our 20th century skills. Harsha, I'm not sure if I answered your question. You asked me about something around LMS and how technology is. We are, in the forefront in terms of adapting technology in our platform itself. Just to answer that question, we are building systems that are intelligent. We have AI, which is kind of deeply connected into our systems. It is well beyond just normal LMSs. It is empowering teachers as designers. We can predict. There's prediction analysis on student attrition rates that is quite important for a lot of universities. Essentially, our system becomes like a chat GPT for education institutions. So they can literally ask any question into the system, you get answers instantly. So there's a lot of things which is evolving, and we're trying to do our best. We had product roadmaps, which was essentially 3 months down the line. Now every month we're reviewing our product roadmaps. So there's a lot of things changing in that way.
No, thanks for that, Nandan. Absolutely, like the whole world is at an amazing pace, thanks to a lot of innovations by people like you, right? So, just as a closing note from all of you, is there something that you would like to give to both teachers, professors, and students on why AI matters and where to draw the line with AI?
Can I go first?
Sure, please. It's on.
I think I saw you. Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of teachers, a lot of educational institutions are today living in a denial mode when it comes to AI and the impact that it is going to have. Okay, they have not yet woken up to the reality that I spoke of, where I said everybody is going to lose their jobs and teachers will be the first to go. Okay, why? Because AI is an information aggregator, and if a teacher, reduces his or her role to just being an aggregator of information, come to the class, parrot it out to the class, and then, expect that there will be some dramatic outcomes, a system can do it a lot better. Okay? Just to take up an instance, I won't name the institution, but a very reputed institution that I went to talk to teachers about, again, a similar thing, an impact of AI. Teachers are telling me, see, AI can be there, you can make videos using AI, but the AI will not be able to judge what a student is good at and what a student is not good at and come up with interventions like a teacher. I did not know what to tell, those set of teachers. I just told them, go look up what ExcelSoft does. ExcelSoft is an institution, it's a company based out of Mysore. They're going IPO, next month. From Mysore to the world, there is this company, okay, which is helping in assessments using AI. So basically, it will help understand what is it that you are short in, what is it that you are good at, and helps you come up with interventions. Whether it is studies, or whether it's a driving test that you are taking, or it could be an SAT kind of a thing, a wide range of things. Okay, so I just took the example of one company. There are many such companies. Because it's a Mysore conference and we are talking about a Mysore example, I just took ExcelSoft. But the point I'm trying to make is, we need to first come out of the denial mode that AI is not going to impact us. It's going to impact every aspect of education, starting from, what Class 365 might be doing, from admissions to, setting up of classrooms, to rostering of classrooms in a complex educational environment where people are picking credits rather than, standardized, courses, to, helping assess, what is the right thing for somebody with this kind of a mindset to study, to what time they should be studying. Okay, already, time and pace at which somebody needs to study, calibrated to that person's ability is already done. Byju's did that. I'm saying we don't need any earth-shattering example of that. But today it's going to get hyper-customized to an individual level, to then, going up to examinations, assessments, to proctoring. Proctoring is checking for frauds and stuff like that on whether I'm... So the entire gamut of education is going to get disrupted by AI-led technology. We need to be first prepared for that, and the only way to be prepared for that is to redefine our roles. For example, teachers need to redefine their roles as facilitators, learning enhancers, as people who will handhold a student through the journey, rather than this Mr. or Mrs. Know-all who, will now tell the student, something. They already know. If they don't know, tonight they will know if they go back and, do the thing. So they don't need to really get that information from the teacher. So, yeah, even as the class is going on, perhaps, they will look it up quickly. So the role is getting redefined, where you need to be 3 steps ahead of the student, know all the resources that are available, guide them to the right kind of resource. Of course, there will be a small element of teaching as well, but that's going to, follow the Pareto principle. 20% will be the teaching the way it is today, and 80% of it will be very different. Having said that, I'll end with one caveat. And the caveat was issued not by me, but a polymath like Albert Einstein. Okay, Albert Einstein said all those years ago, it is one thing to know, it is another thing to understand. That's what he said. It's one thing to know, it's another thing to understand. In today's age, even what I'm saying right now, most of you sitting there will be thinking, hey, ನನ್ನ ಮಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ ನಂಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಅದು ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತ್ತೇ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. Okay. So, I mean, it's very easy to be dismissive of anybody, isn't it? I'm saying in today's times, I already know. Or even if you don't know, you would have whipped yourself up into an illusion where you are thinking, hey, I already know this. Even if you have heard a few words of what I am, saying, you'll still think that you already know it. Okay, that's the deceit of the human mind which we need to conquer if we have to take the journey from knowing to understanding and from understanding to applying.
Good stuff. I think he's already said a lot of things I wanted to say, just like knowing, I think all of you know it. My quick closing thing would be, just as artificial intelligence, I'm not calling it AI, computerization, automation, all that, I just call it as data. So there's data, call it content, everything. The only way to counter this is like artificial intelligence, you got to increase your emotional intelligence and human intelligence. Because the final decision making, regardless of whether it is small pieces of data or large amounts of data, who's going to make the decision? And the next level is who's going to bear the responsibility of the decision. If all that research data, everything insights is pointing a person A to do this, if you make a decision to buy a car, not a bike, or go to Flipkart, not Amazon, choose JSS or not, whatever could be, whatever decision, who's going to live with the decision is that human. And I think decision making is the key. And again, from research, they say that we make about 30 or 35,000 decisions per day. Can you believe it? Whether it's small or not, that is, should I drink from this water bottle or not is also a decision, right? So decision making using the data is going to be the key. And that I doubt is going to change too much. And then it's a question of whether you need all the data or not, right? So that's my final thing. I think there's going to be data, and teachers, as a closing thought here is, I write research case studies, and as a quick thing, some of the professors here may already be using it. What I clearly think is missing, which I was also telling the other faculty during lunch break, is peer learning is missing. So when it gets so personalized, like I want this and I'll give this prompt and I'll get this, research again points out you learn very less through that method. What you learn through is, let's say if you're sitting in an auditorium here, some person didn't even know, let's say I walked in, I didn't even know what Nandan or Ravi is going to say, and he's having a conversation with him, and there's a third degree that I learned. And apparently that is the deep learning that majority of us actually, it sticks and we learn. But AI is giving us a very illusion that as though I know a little bit and I'll ask you this exact question, give me this exact answer, it's useful. So in a classroom setting, so if you're with an app and if you're using a tool, that one-on-one transaction may help. But if you're in a classroom, I think a teacher's job now, like Ravi was saying as a facilitator, is imagine if you're creating a classroom debate about a case study, two groups are having a pro and con and they're thinking about some decision making. Some person who never even thought of contributing or doesn't get up and speak also learned something which he never thought he would learn when he walked into the classroom. Now, I think the teacher, can he think of that as the ultimate level of learning? Then I guess then the human intelligence continues to. Otherwise, like Ravi was saying, if it is a material that needs to be read for the class, they anyway can find it somewhere on the internet and read. The teacher is not required to read out that. But the teacher is required to enhance the level of learning and intelligence so that when they leave, that third and fourth degree kind of thing can be done. And I'm assuming some of them are already doing it, but that's my closing thought.
Okay, that's Nandan, you want to add something to that?
Yes. Thank you, Harsha. So my closing statement, right? So what does this mean for education institutions? I think for education institutions, there has to be a shift. It has to be a shift from what they're using as system of records to system of intelligence, right? So most education institutions still use software as a database. What I think is the future is where the system is intelligent, the system will think for you, predict student success, even attrition rates, or dropout rates you can call. And we are, agents, like agents that will track grades, for teachers. All the administrative task is done by these AI agents, and it's already there. And I think it's understanding that the intelligence is there, and education institutions are kind of accepting it as well. So education is no longer about preparing students for the job that exists today. It's about preparing them for the future that doesn't exist, right, Asha? So ultimately the future of education is about three things, in my opinion. Empowering teachers as designers of experiences, not just delivery of content, which Ravi sir just mentioned as well. So equipping students with 21st century skills. I talked about polymath. AI does the deep knowledge, and you have to get the breadth of knowledge across multiple disciplines. And also one thing I wanna add as well. Building an ecosystem where education, which is what us as Class 365 do, and industry, which is the hiring industry or the companies, and also personal growth of students are all seamlessly connected, right? From my perspective, and this is kind of my kind of a vision, my personal vision, and how I'm kind of building an ecosystem where education, industry, and personal growth are all seamlessly connected, and all the businesses which we are kind of engaged and working on, touches all powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Nandan. Right, if I can summarize that, right, education, places of education used to be where you go to learn, right? So with AI, everything is democratized. It's going to be no more a place of knowledge, but a place of collaboration and interactions, right? Because knowledge is on the internet, in your phones, in your pockets right now. And that is actually a good thing that I would say to educational institutions, because now it has put all the institutions, be it, the Ivy Leagues or, or Tier 1, Tier 2, everybody on the same playing ground today, right? It's the same information. It's how are you as mentors going to help people understand, utilize them, and transform their journeys, right? Any last words?
Thanks, Harsha. I'll keep it crisp and I'll take a slightly contrarian view here. Sure, AI is powerful, but I also think there's so much noise around it, right? I feel basics of human psychology do not change, right? Be it from the steam engine to horses to using computers, smartphones, or AI. At the crux of it is passion. What are you passionate about? And I think this is a great tool to propagate that passion. If you're a passionate teacher, right? This is a tool that will help you not reach a room of 200 people here, but thousands and millions of teachers. If you look at Tony Robbins, he's worth $800 million, right? Because what AI will do, like all we've been doing today, is to tell. Great educators help you realize, right? And if anybody here, you realized anything today, that is moving the needle. To tell, there's a lot of cheap talk out there that people will keep telling. So I think that's the moving the needle here, right? The helping realization, I think it's still the human element. And AI is a great tool to work with, but I think the realization is that I would see on the educator's side, right? If you're a passionate educator, you will teach millions of people. I enjoy playing golf on the weekend. On a golf course, who do you see? Entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers. You don't see teachers. Why? And I think that will change, right? You will find, teachers in our society. In the Scandinavian countries, the highest paid civil servant is a primary school teacher. Why? Because they believe that the best minds should engage with the youngest minds. Not only are they highest paid, they're also the highest in the social order, like how an IAS officer is treated today. And I think that has to change today. It will, right? In India, I think for us, the change that we need to see in healthcare and education, you will see the best educators will teach millions of people. That's on the side of the teachers, right? It's a great opportunity. On the other side with students, right? It comes down to passion. What are you interested in? I was talking to somebody in the audience and she said, I really love theatre. And I said, why are you doing MBA? She said, parents, right? We're all busy, doing something for our parents, teachers, whatever, people around you. I think somewhere that has to stop, right? What do you enjoy doing? And I think if you find what you're passionate about, I think these are all tools that will help you, really move the needle there, right? And that's the massive opportunity. You don't need teachers to come and tell you anything. Everything is on your smartphone, right? I think it's about for you to find what is that you enjoy doing. That might need to kick the ball and to find out what you enjoy. So I'll end with the same polymath with a different quote. Einstein said, logic can get you from A to B, and that's AI, it's logic. But imagination can take you anywhere. And today I think that's the opportunity that we have. So thank you.
Yeah. Can I add a bit? Yeah, wonderful. Well said. Just to add to that and to give it a touch of irony, okay, I read this in the same university that all of you go to, WhatsApp University, Instagram University. So it says, in an ideal world, AI should be doing the dishes and cleaning the floor, leaving us humans to paint and write poetry and to our creative pursuits. But the irony is that AI is writing poetry and doing paintings and leaving us to mop the floors and do the dishes. So AI is a powerful tool like any other, but in the hands of right educationists, it will help us enhance human endeavor, human possibilities. But in the hands of wrong set of people, ranging from teachers to very bad capitalists perhaps, and politicians, not to mention, it can end up really destroying the human race. I hope it will be the former and not the latter.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, sir. No, it's been great interacting with all four of you here, hearing a lot of your perspectives on AI, education, mentorship, and the future of learning. Thank you for patiently listening to us. I just want to leave you with one thought, right? Technology will keep evolving, but the future of learning is going to be how we bring in the human element into it. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you for this wonderful and excellent and thought-provoking discussion. We cannot be more privileged than today to have such a distinct panelists and moderator here. I would like to thank Mr. Harsha for moderating this insightful discussion, and a heartfelt thanks to all our panelists, Mr. Vinay Rameshwarappa, Mr. Ravi Shankar, Mr. Vijay Krishnamurthy, and we have online Mr. Nandan Kirti, for sharing your valuable perspectives on education technology and digital learning. Today's conversation has shed light on the transformative role of technology in education, the opportunities it presents, and the challenges we must navigate to ensure meaningful and inclusive learning experiences. We hope that the ideas and insights shared here will inspire learners, educators, and institutions alike to innovate, collaborate, and leverage technology for a brighter educational future. Once again, we sincerely thank all our panelists and participants for being part of this session. We now conclude the panel discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Harsha.
Yes.